look at something under exponents. Yeah, exponent. I have a video under the YouTube description on the laws of exponents. But today, just we are going to revise because learners are about to write tests and exams here in South Africa. Yes, so we would like to revise on what we've done so far. So we will take a quick revision on exponential form and the expanded form. Okay, then we move to square roots and cube roots. Yes, okay. So under exponents, whenever we are given, let's say 2, then we have here to be 8. Okay, we have the number here to be called what? The power, 2 raised to the power 8, or we also call it what? Exponent. Okay, and then exponent simply means that the number of times a base is multiplying itself. The number of times a base is multiplying itself. Okay, so basically when we talk of base, what are we talking about? The base is this whole number that we are talking about. Okay, so the number of times that 2 is multiplying itself. So in this case, 2 is multiplying itself 8 times. 2 is the base. We have 8 to be the exponents. Good. Sharp. Then moving on, what is exponential form? I first mentioned it. Okay, getting the terminologies right will help us to understand things better whenever we are asked a question. Okay, so when you talk of exponential form, 2 exponent 8 is written in exponential form. Exponential form. It is having a base and an exponent. So basically it is in an exponential form. Then what then is expanded form? The expanded form is telling us what 2 exponent 8 literally means. Okay, 2 exponent 8 literally means that 2 is multiplying itself 8 times. So we go by saying 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, literal 8 times. Okay, 2 is multiplying itself 8 times. There are times that the question may also continue to ask you what is the value. Then you have to do your multiplication. 2 times 2 will give you 4. 4 times 2 will give you 8. 8 times 2 gives you 16. 16 times 2 will give you 32. 32 times 2 will give you 64. 64 in that order to get the actual value of 2 exponent 8. I believe you recall everything here. That is very good. It's good because your exams and the tests are approaching. Okay, so we know what an exponent is, a base, exponential form, and we also have our expanded form. Okay, so there are times that the question will be given to you in an expanded form, then we'll ask you what is the exponential form. Okay, so let's quickly look at 2 questions here. Maybe that one will really help us. Okay, given 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. Okay, that is question number 1. Question number 2, we have 8 exponent 2. Okay, 8 exponent 2. If we are asked to solve this, okay, how do we go about it? What is the number that we are dealing with? Talking about the base. Okay, here we are dealing with the number 7. So 7 is basically our base. Then 7 is multiplying itself how many times? I go by counting 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then my 4 comes here as the exponent. So 7 is multiplying itself 4 times. Okay, so we have 7 exponent 4. Okay, then here we have 8 exponent 2. 8 exponent 2 in the expanded form will be 8 times 8. Please, learners, avoid multiplying the base by the exponent. That is here a learner may be tempted to write 8 times 2, which is equal to 16. This is equal to 64. So if you multiply your base by your exponent, it means it is wrong. Please take note of that. Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on quickly to square roots and cube roots. That is our main thing for the day. Okay, we have square roots and cube root. Okay, talking about square root. Before we talk about square root, we'll talk about squares, or a number squared. I remember that in grade 7, we've dealt with square numbers, and even somewhere in grade 6. Okay, so if we've dealt with square number is basically a number multiply itself. The product is called what? A square number. So let's go through quickly and look at, let's say, our first 5 or 4 square numbers. Okay, I have 1 times 1 giving me 1. And remember that in exponents, 1 times 1 is the same thing as 1 squared. Good. So 1 times 1 will give me 1. Then 2 squared will be 2 times 2, which will give me 4. Okay. We have 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, which will give me 9. We have 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, which will give us what? 16. So basically these numbers are called our square numbers. Square numbers, because it was 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. That gave us what? The products of 1, 4, 9, 16. So the next one will be 25, 36, and it goes in that order. These are square numbers. Okay, since we know a number squared, so basically a number squared is whereby a number multiplies itself. A number multiplies itself. So 1 multiplies itself, 2 multiplies itself, 3 multiplies itself. Then it gives us what? The square numbers. Good. Then what about cube numbers? Cube numbers are numbers, or cube numbers are derived by a number multiplying itself twice. Yeah. We normally say the number multiplies itself 3 times, but the number multiplies itself twice. That gives us cube numbers. So if we have this 1 times 1 times 1, 1 is multiplying itself. That is the first one. Then twice. Good. If you come to mathematical languages, that is one thing that we must get to know very well. So a number multiplies itself twice for us to get a cube number. So a number cubed means that the number is multiplying itself twice. Okay, so here is basically 1 exponent 3, or 1 cubed. 1 cubed. That will give us that. Then the answer is still 1. We have 2 cubed, meaning 2 times 2 times 2, which will give us 8. Then our next cube number, 3 exponent 3, that will be 3 times 3 times 3, giving us 27. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So cube numbers are derived by a number multiplying itself twice. We also remember that. So these are our first 3 cube numbers. Yeah, it's very good that you still remember everything under square roots and cube roots. All right. Okay, without wasting much time, we'll move on once again. And what do we know about square roots? Okay, Square roots are denoted by the sign. Some will go by that, some goes by that, some goes by that with the square here, and some also will go by that with a square here. It is the same thing. All these talk about what? Square roots. Okay, so when I'm given a number like 4 and I'm asked to find the square root of 4, what does it mean? Finding the square root of 4 is very simple. It means that a number multiplied itself for us to get 4. What is that number? See, it is good to know that the number is 2 multiplying itself, but we cannot write 2 times 2 as our answer. We say that, as we know, 2 times 2 here, still having the square root, so it's equal to 2. Yes. So basically what we will have to do here is that when we are given the square root of 4, it literally means that a number multiplied itself for us to get 4. What is that number? So you can go for 2. Very good. And there comes a time that there will be a square root of a number squared. Okay, so basically we have 2 squared, square root of 2 squared. Okay, mathematicians, will go by saying that, okay, the square cancels the square root, so my answer is 2. Then you sit there and wonder why they did that. They did this because square root of 2 exponent 2. If 2 exponent 2 or 2 squared is under a square root, we solve the exponent first before we deal with what? The square root. Okay, so this means that it is square root of 2 times 2. 2 is multiplying itself. 2 times 2, which will give us what? 4. Then the square root of what? 4. A number multiplied itself for us to get 4. What is that number? That number is what? 2. Because it is 2 that will multiply 2 for us to get what? 4. Yes. And under integers also, sometimes you hear mathematicians saying that it is plus or minus 2. Yeah. Under integers also, negative 2 times negative 2 will give us positive 4. That is why they come with what? Plus or minus 2. But we have here to be 2. I believe it's quite understandable. Yes. And the same way applies to cube roots. Cube roots. Okay. Under cube roots, we go by, denoted by this particular cube roots. Okay. Cube root, finding the cube root simply means that a number multiplied itself twice. Remember, we explained it from the beginning. The number multiplies itself will be that the number is what? Squared. But here, if the number multiplies itself twice, it means that this number, 3 exponent 3, means that 3 multiplies itself. Then, the second time. This is the first time 3 multiplied itself. Then the second time. So 3 multiplied itself twice for us to get what? A particular number. That is 3 cubed. Okay. We've gone through that. Then here our answer will be 27, because 3 times 3 will give us 9. Then 9 times 3 will give us what? 27. That is quite good. Yeah, we really have to refresh our memories day in, day out, or every second, every minute, every hour. That is good. Then what of if we are given, yes, the cube root of 27? As I've explained earlier, the cube root of 27 means that a number multiplied itself twice for us to get 27. What is that number? Okay, so here we are looking for the number that multiplied itself twice. Okay, so this is the same thing as having here to be 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, and this gives you what? The cube root being on that means that this will give you 3. Okay, that is very good. But the advantage that we have here is that in grade 8, grade 9, we are allowed to use calculators. So we don't spend much time on this on your calculator. Some of them, you really have to use the second function, especially sharp calculators. You have to go in for second function because before you get the cube root, then you put the number under the cube root, then work according to the question that is given to you. This is very easy. Then let's look at some questions that we normally get, or we explain this further. Okay. Okay, let's look at this particular question. Why this question? I want to use these questions to explain certain things to you when it comes to square roots and cube roots. All our questions are based on square roots, but don't worry, the same thing applies to cube roots as well. Okay, so in the first question, we have the square root of 100 minus 36. If you look at it very well, the 100 minus 36 is found under the square root. So if it is an umbrella, it is over the two numbers, okay, or it is over the sum. Okay, so in this particular case, we are always advised that solve what is under the square root first before you do any other thing, before you apply the square root. Okay, so my next step will be 100 minus 36 will give me what? 64. Okay, then plus any number exponent 0 is 1. Yeah, exponents. Then square root of 64 will give me 8 plus 1, which will give me what? 9. So 9 is my final answer. So here, what we are getting from here is that if the umbrella, the square root, is over all these numbers, if it is addition, subtraction, solve it first before you find the square root of your answer. Okay. Then the next one, we see that the square root is on 36 and the square root is on 4. Here we cannot add 36 to 4 simply because each of them are having their square roots. Okay, so we solve them differently. So here we will go by applying the square root first. Square root of 36 will give us what? 6, because 6 times 6 will get us what? 36. Plus the square root of 4 gives me 2, because it is 2 that multiplies itself for us to get 4. Then minus, here we are having that same sum here. Okay, square root of 100 minus 64. So 100 minus 64 will give us what? 100 minus 64 give us 36. Okay, so that means that we still have to find the square root of 36. So we go by saying 6 plus 2 minus 6. Okay, then 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Remember that addition and subtraction, we start from the left through to the right. So 6 plus 2 gives us 8, then 8 minus 6 will give us 2. Our final answer. Okay, let's take this into consideration because it will really help us when we are dealing with square roots and cube roots. If you have any question, don't hesitate. My number is there. WhatsApp me as you are about to write tests and exams. Even within the weekdays, probably I can come online and help you. We've not been coming online lately because of the power outages that we've been experiencing here in Queenstown. But God willing, we will be meeting again. Thank you. Bye-bye.